in order now. Welcome everybody in person on Zoom. We're up to Daf Zayin Amud Bet, and part of this will be a little bit of a review, but I want to forge ahead and hopefully a little bit of a deeper understanding as well. The Mishnah that we're in the middle of, we were dealing with before Pesach, good Isser Chag, Isser Chag at this point, I guess, was related to the 4 Rosh Hashana. There's a machloket about whether Rosh Chodesh Elul is or is not a Rosh Hashana for Maser Behema. There are 2 opinions there. It says it's Bechad Be'elul, then there's another opinion, but the Stam Mishnah, the Stama voice in the Mishnah makes it sound like whoever wrote the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, that he maintains that it's on Rosh Chodesh Elul, and there's a dissenting opinion that says that it's really on Aleph Tishrei. That dissenting opinion is named. So the Gemara opens here, Daf Zayin Amud Bet, probably what is about a third of the way down the page. Be'echad be'el Rosh Hashanah l'maaseh behema, Mani Rabbi Meir he. I'm on Zayin Amud Bet. We're continuing Zayin Amud Bet. Mani, right? Mani Rabbi Meir he. Ditnan Rabbi Meir Omer be'echad be'elul Rosh Hashanah l'maaseh behema. It's the Rosh Hashanah. Fair enough. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion. It says his name. But when we had the beginning of our Mishnah that said that Aleph Nisan was Rosh Hashanah for Malachim and for Regalim, who had said that statement, that was Rabbi Shimon. Yet if you look, Rabbi Shimon said that. Remember we had said that Rabbi Shimon was the first voice in the Mishnah, that was Aleph Nisan, that he held that was Rosh Hashanah for Regalim because you needed 3 Regalim, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot to elapse in order to be over on Baal Ta'acher. It's coming back to everybody? Yes? Okay, I'm getting nods on the screen also. It's good. So, in other words, it required three full Yom Tov. We said that Rabbi Meir didn't agree with that opinion. Rabbi Meir actually thought that if 1 Yom Tov goes by, you're already over in Baal Ta'acher. So now the Gemara says, okay, well, the statement about the person who really holds that Echad Be'elul is Rosh Hashanah for Maser Behema, that's Rabbi Meir. But then the Gemara says, wait a minute. We said at the beginning of the Mishnah, V'lo Regalim, Mani Rabbi Shimon he. So without telling us that it was a shift in names of who, according, of who's speaking, the beginning of the Mishnah is like Rabbi Shimon. The middle of the Mishnah seems to be from like Rabbi Meir. And then, Ema Seifa, look at the end of the Mishnah, meaning further along in the Mishnah. It's the last point, but it's further along. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Omrim, Be'achad B'Tishrei, from Maser Behema. The Gemara asks, wait a second. Reish of a Sefer Rabbi Shimon, Umetziyata Rabbi Meir. The middle is Rabbi Meir, but the beginning and the end of this Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon, right? Rabbi Shimon holds what the Gemara says. Again, if you want, everyone could flip back for 1 minute. I think Art already did, but if you didn't do it, look back in the Mishnah. Look in the Mishnah. Look. So look in the Mishnah. Arba Rosh Hashanah. That's like the title. There are 4 Rosh Hashanahs. Yeah. First, Be'echa B'Nisan Rosh Hashanah l'Malachim v'Regalim. Who's the author of that? We don't know, but the Gemara that we learned so many shurim ago was, that's Rabbi Shimon's opinion. He holds that it's a Rosh Hashanah for Regalim. How come? Because you need all 3 Regalim to have elapsed, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Remember, that's when we had the whole discussion. If you made the commitment before Shavuot, so you have Shavuot, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, because he holds, Rabbi Shimon, you always need 3. So that's the authorship of the first statement. Then the second statement in the Mishnah, Be'echad be'elul Rosh Hashanah l'maaseh behema. It doesn't say who said it. So you would have thought Rabbi Shimon, right? No, because the next sentence in the Mishnah, line 3 is, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, there's his name again. I mean, not again. It's the first time it's appearing there. Omrim Be'echad B'Tishrei. Rosh Hashanah. Be'echad B'Tishrei. Period. With regard to Maaseh Behema, that's all we need for tonight in the Mishnah. So, what does the Gemara say? Well, who holds that Aleph Elul is the Rosh Hashanah for Maaseh Behema? Oh, it's Rabbi Meir. So the Gemara says, wait, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shimon. Mm-hmm. What's the fluctuation? So that's what the Gemara is doing on Daf Zayin Amud Bet. It's asking that exact question. Samar of Yosef, Rabbi he, v'nasev la aliba to tonight. B'regalim savar la Rabbi Shimon, v'maaseh behema savar la Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Yosef says yes. Rabbi wrote the Mishnah. Rabbi edited the Mishnah. Rabbi chose. He decided. I hold like Rabbi Shimon for Regalim. I hold like Rabbi Meir for Maaseh Behema, and that's it. So ihachi, if that's true, says the Gemara, then arba chamisha havu. Then there aren't 4 Rosh Hashana. There must really be 5 Rosh Hashana. How come? How do you get to 5? Right? That's the question. How do you count 5? Look at the at Rashi. He gives us the answer. So Rashi, we saw already Rashi of Liragali. I'm just going back here. It's a little farther up the page in the narrow lines. The first word on the line is veheve kimota geshamim. The dibur matchus Liragali mani Rabbi Shimon. The hali bei ukimna the itle kesidron labal ta'acher. So that's what we said about Rabbi Shimon, the first statement in the Mishnah. It's Aliba Rabbi Shimon. Seifa Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Shimon Omrim Ba'alaf B'Tisrei from Masa Behema. So the Gemara had answered. Rav Yosef said Rabbi He. Hu amara l'matnitin v'nasiv milte chada kechad tana v'chada kechad tana. He chose. He liked this tana, he liked that tana. That's what he thought. The Allah was whimsy, but that's how he made the choice. And now the Gemara said ihachi. Then maybe the Mishnah shouldn't have said there's 4 Rosh Hashana, but 5 Rosh Hashana. Why? Techad gavra amra l'matnitin v'nasiv milte chada kechad tana chamisha Rosh Hashana minhu. Here's what they are: Echad b'Nisan v'Tedvav b'Nisan. How come Echad b'Nisan, Tedvav b'Nisan? When it came to kings, they count the number of years of kings in order to put it on the star. We said that was Alf Nisan. But you remember that when it came to Regalim, we said it actually literally meant Regalim. So the regal of Nisan is on the 15th of Nisan. So really, according to Rabbi Shimon, there are 2 Rosh Hashana in Nisan. Then, all right, Ve'echad be'Elul, that's another one. And then Echad b'Tishrei, that's for Shemitah, Yovel, and the Shanim, Shemitah, Yovelot, and Tu B'Shvat. So it's 5, according to Rabbi. Understand? Is that the problem? You got it? You understand why? Yeah. But if you hold that, sorry, so let's keep going. I should have kept going. Hanicha imukmat la l'reisha Rabbi Shimon Shapir l'didei arbaninhu the lately achad be'elul. But if you were to hold straight through the Mishnah, straight up Rabbi Shimon, don't make a sandwich Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shimon. Just say Rabbi Shimon through and through. Now there's only 4. How come? Because Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Shimon hold that there is no Maser Behem on Aleph Elul, but rather on Aleph Tishrei, which is the next thing in the Mishnah as the so-called third of the 4 Rosh Hashana. So it's really the second of the, you understand? And you just, well, it's really the third in the second month. So you have 2 in Nisan, and then in Tishrei, it's all Aleph Tishrei, but you follow? It's all Aleph Tishrei, but it's still going to be also from Maser Behema as one more thing that happens in Aleph Tishrei. Tana Amarinu Kashya. But if you're going to say that one Tana said it, so that's going to be problematic, i.e., that you're going to like try to fluctuate it. How are you going to get there, right? Because then you have Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Meir, not Rabbi Shimon, right? How do you know which way Rabbi Paskin? Because he didn't mention the person's name. That's the default. There are exceptions, but there's a default, right? He didn't mention the name of whoever he's quoting. He just gives you the statements. When he mentions someone's name, that's a dissenting opinion we don't paskin like. Unless it's a machloka to 2 people, let's quote both opinions. But if one is stam and the other one has a name, mostly, I don't say cross shas, but much of the time it means because Rabbi Paskin like the stam, aliba the stam, and not the dissenting opinion. So, okay. So now, you understand? You understand the question. Now go back. That's the Gemara's question. 2 answers will be given. One by Rava and one by Nachman bar Yitzchak. So Amar Rava, first word on the line back in the Gemara is Rava. Amar Rava, Arba l'diver hakol, l'Rabbi Meir Arba, Dal regalim, l'Rabbi Shimon Arba, Dal maser behema. So Rava says, no, it's going to end up being 4 according to everybody. How's that? Go back to Rashi. Amar Rava, L'olam Rabbihi. No, the Mishnah is written by Rabbi. V'hachi ka'amar. Ana, I personally hold that there are 5 Rosh Hashana. Umi akol modim li ba'arba. I personally, Rava says, if Rabbi could talk to us now, he would say, look, on a personal level, based on my shitas, I hold that there are 5 Rosh Hashana. But why did I write 4 in the Mishnah? Because at least 4 are agreed to by everybody. Which 4? That's the question. Yeah. So, Li Rabbi Meir, It's Arba Dal Regalim, right? In Rabbi Meir's version of this Mishnah, Nisan is Rosh Hashanah for Malachim, for kings, for the dating of documents. But it is not Rosh Hashanah for Regalim when it comes to Baal Ta'acher. Because Rabbi Meir holds that if on the 15th of Iyar you say, Shavuos is coming, I'm going to give a nice fat Nadava here. It's that old Betsy over there. She's coming. Then it comes to after Shavuos, finished. You're over in Baal Ta'acher. One, and you're over in Baal Ta'acher.
Doesn't count. You have to subtract.
So he take that one away. So the whole issue for Rabbi Shimon was Rabbi Shimon holds that Malachim Rosh Chodesh, and Rabbi Meir would agree to that. But Rabbi Shimon disagrees with Rabbi Meir about whether or not there's something called Rosh Hashanah L'Regalim. And according to Rabbi Shimon, there is such a thing, but it's not on Aleph Nisan; it's on 15 Nisan. Mm-hmm. So according to Rabbi Meir, Eit Le'achad Be'elul Dal Regalim. Which we saw, and according to Rabbi Shimon, there's only 4. How come? Dal Maser Behema. The late Elav Batishrei Ubalav Maser Nami Rosh Hashanah. Who? Yeah. In other words, he just doesn't have Aleph Elul. He doesn't think that's a real date. So Benkach or Benkach, Rabbi Shimon holds this 4. Rabbi Meir holds this 4. You'll say to me, well, Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel have a machloket. Yeah, but we only paskin like one of them. And we pop into paskin like Beit Hillel. That's another discussion. When we get to it, we'll get to it. So that's why you're recording both of them, and there's a machloket. Why don't Rabbi just paskin? This is how it is, and then give us the dissenting opinion. So we'll come back to that. But the point here is Rabbi Yehuda Anasi says, I hold this 5 personally, but because I hold Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon. That's why I wrote Vila Regalim in my listing of the Mishnah. But why did I say Arba? I was concerned that at least 4 here are going to be agreed to by all of them, each in their own way. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, I guess, didn't like that answer, right? Because he gives his own answer. It doesn't challenge Rava directly, but you could find I don't know what to say, maybe a question about what Rava is saying, which is Arba Avot Nezikin, at the beginning of Baba Kama. So there's an argument what the 4 are and how you enumerate them, but you're going to get to the number 4. The Dalet Shomrim, there's no real argument about. But the Dalet Arba Avot Nezikin, there's like a machloket, it says what they are, but then we're not sure how to divide up what is Hever, Amave rather. What is it? Is it Adam? Is it Shane? Okay, but it just says 4, and it's not like this in here that says there's 4, but then but he says this, but he says that. So Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak had another solution, maybe more elegant solution. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar Arba Chodashim Ubahen Kama Roshe Shanim. There are 4 months that are mentioned. Nisan, which happens to have 2, but when he said Arba Rosh Hashanah, what Rabbi really wanted to say is there are 4 months in which there's a Rosh Hashanah. Here's how I hold. And that's what I'm writing. In Nisan, in Elul, in Tishrei, and in Shvat. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak's answer is a much more elegant answer in a certain way. Now, the only problem for Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak is, if Rabbi meant that, then Rabbi should have said, not Arba Rosh Hashanim Heim, but Arba Chodashim Sheish Lam Rosh Hashanah. But he didn't say that. He said Arba Rosh Hashanim Heim. But Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak solves this problem by saying, look, there's 4 months here that Rabbi Yehuda Anasi holds there's a Rosh Hashanah. How many Rosh Hashanahs are in that month? Doesn't matter. The point is that it's, in other words, different dates. Remember, the fact that Aleph Tishrei is for Shanim, Shmitin, and Yovlot, that's all the same Aleph Tishrei. But Nisan, Aleph Nisan is for Malachim, Tet Vav Nisan is for Regalim. So Rav Nachman seems to have a more, you could call it a more elegant solution. Beseder. You're listening. Different strokes, different folks. Yeah, different strokes, different folks. Yeah. So okay, and basically that's what Rosh says. Hilkach Nisan to eat Beit Shrei Chad Kachashiv Lei. And I didn't want to disappoint, so I wanted to make sure tonight already to do this next part. Meitvei. Here's a little bit of a contradiction. What are we going to do with the following Maimer Chazal? We have here the following statement. Yeah, it's not a small thing. There's a Braita that says, what does it say? Shisha Sar ben Nisan, Rosh Hashana la Omer. Shisha b'Sivan, Rosh Hashana li Shtei Halechem. There's 2 more. Yeah. One of those 2 is in the Chodesh Nisan, 16 Nisan. and the other one is in Chodesh Sivan. That's a whole different month. Yeah. So Lirava Litnei Shisha. According to Rava, now we're up to 6 Rosh Hashanahs, right? The Rav Nachman, we'll see it in Rashi in a minute. No, we won't. I'll just tell it to you, right? We have the existing 4 that were already on the books for Rava, right? And now you got to add another one for Rosh for Nisan, and now add Sivan. So that's 2 more. But Rabbi Nachman or Yitzchak Chamisha, we'd need 5. How come 5? Because Nisan is another one in Nisan. So there's 3 in Nisan. 3 Rosh Hashanah is in Nisan. Yeah. So and there you have it. Let's pause just here for a moment. Let's pause for a moment at the Gemara here, and look at Rashi. Rashi here says Rosh Hashanah la Omer, le'achol min hachadash mikan ve'elach. Right? What does it mean that it's Rosh Hashanah for the Omer? Once they bring the Korban Omer, you're allowed to eat from the new crop. What is the new crop? Anything that grew since the last year. Mm-hmm. That's what it means.
So that refers to Charash and Yasha, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Without the Korban Omer, we maintain that after the year has passed, after the day of the 16th of Yom Hanafet Omer, it's Rabbi Yochanan Zaka, was talking after the 16th of Nisan. So first day Chol Hamoed in Israel, second day Yom Frost. When that ends, so that's the cutoff point. Anything that was already from before, that's Yashan. But anything that's going to grow after, that's Chadash. You have to wait till the next year to be matir that. That's what's going on. And then again, in Chicago, Yashan a big deal. In other communities, they don't make such a big semasa out of it. Bisman Hazeh, absent Beit HaMikdash, living in Chutz La'aretz, are different aspects. In the House of Brisk, very strong about it. Very strong. Yeah. Very strong. Again, for people who are makpin on it, so yeah. Okay. It's a big business in Chicago, big business in Illinois. Big thing. It has to do with Ravarn Soloveitchik. That's all. Anyway, I don't know where the Telzers hold on it, but I assume they're also into it. Anyway, so that's what Rashi writes. Le'echol min hachadash mikan ve'elach. But in the days of the Beis Mikdash, they give the korban 16 Nisan, and then you could eat from the new crop. Yeah, the new crop means that which grew over the last year. The Ritva explains it along these lines as well, but he adds something else. He says the fact it calls it Rosh Hashanah is lav davka. It's not really literally that, because it's only nikrav on that day. When you say a Rosh Hashanah, it usually means it's like a cutoff point. Everything after that is like in some different category. So like the kings who are anointed on Aleph Adar, when it gets to Nisan, it's year 2. The whole year is year 2. As soon as you get to Nisan, yeah? You talk about what year it is. So when you get to Rosh Hashanah, it's a new year. Maser Behema, whether Aleph Elul, Aleph Tishrei, but any animal that was in the pen before it, that's in one group. Any animals born after is in another group. It's like a dividing line. But the Ritva points out that it says Rosh Hashanah, it must refer to the idea that there is now a heter to eat as a result of that krava. It's not a Rosh Hashanah for the Omer. It's not like you could do it on that day or 10 days later. You give the Omer only on one day of the year. That's on Tet Zayin Nisan. The Rosh Hashanah is not truly on the Omer. It's really on the crop from the past year that was Chadash that now you could eat. And he says, I took this basically, based on Rashi. I found this in an anthology of different notes on the Shas. So the Sfas Emes says, if Rashi wouldn't have said what he said, I might have read the words Rosh Hashanah la Omer as referring to the Tvua itself, the crop, that anything that will take root, be nishtaresh, after this day, will belong to the new year. So it is actually really a Rosh Hashanah, because it will require Korban Omer next year to be mutter. But because Rashi wrote Rosh Hashanah la Omer le'achol min hachadash mikan ve'elach, it's something about the Omer meaning the Korban Omer. Follow? The Sfas Emes says, look, Rashi said it, so, but had Rashi not written what he wrote, I could have explained the words Rosh Hashanah la Omer as a reference to the crop that is going to be born in this new year from 16 Nisan and onward, is in a cycle of a year where you can't eat from it until the next year's a korban comes around. Back to the Gemara. Amar Rav, Papa. Oh wait, there was something else I had to say here. Wait. Yeah, something else I had to say here. Sorry. We can't go into the Gemara. Go back to Rashi. Vav Nisan is Rosh Hashanah for Shtei Halechem. What does the Rosh Hashanah for Shtei Halechem actually mean? So Rashi explains to us, Nitchadsha Hashana lahavi menachot min hachadash, sheha-omer matir b'medina, u'shtei Halechem b'mikdash. When it comes to the menachot that are going to be offered in the Beit HaMikdash, all of the meal offerings for the year, for that, the crop has to undergo, the crop from Pesach, not good enough. We need to wait until the bringing of the Korban Shtei Halechem, and then we could use the meal offerings from the crop from the past year.
And that's the 6th of Sivan.
Exactly. Now, a couple of things about this. It's interesting.
Rossi seems to be taking that out of thin air.
Well, no, not really. It's not out of thin air at all. The Torah in Sefer Vayikra in Perek Bet starts talking about menachot, and it says you can't have chametz in the korban, and then the pasuk after that says korban reshit takrivu otam lashem ve'al mizbeach lo yalu l'reach nichoach. So what is the korban reshit? Rashi there says, what's the korban reshit? That's coming on the heels of having just said it, and don't bring it up on the mizbeach. It's the only korban that's a meal offering we ever bring that is chametz, and therefore we don't bring it up on the mizbeach, which is what? The korban shtei halechem. The korban shtei halechem is brought near, but not onto the mizbeach. What is brought on the mizbeach? The kvasim of the day. When they're brought, they bring the bread in the vicinity. Join. That's it. But what's amazing here is that the korban Omer is made of barley. It's low food, yeah, and it's just a sack of the barley and the menifit, and then they're makrifit, the kamitza, the whole thing. Comes to korban shtei halechem, it's made out of chita, out of wheat, and it's baked into bread. And only after that, that's the demarcating line in the Makom HaMikdash for when you could use the crop from the previous year of chita for solet, for the different meal offerings, from the fine flours, etc. So Rashi did not pull this actually out of thin air. This is what the Gemara describes in Masachet Menachot, and Rashi, you can find it Ayin Sham in Perek Bet Halacha Yud Bet. Also, if you look in the Rambam in Maser Korbanot in Perek Yud Bet, so he talks about this also. It's brought to the Azara. It's not put on the Mizbeach, right? We have different kinds of meal offerings, right? But this one doesn't actually go on. The Karev, it goes close, but doesn't go on. How come? It's chametz. The previous pasuk said, don't do that. And that's why the pasuk, you use the expression, the pasuk itself says, Vel Mizbeach lo ya'alu l'reach nichoach. Okay, so that's for consideration. Now let's go back to the Gemara. Amar Rav Papa, Kika chashiv midei dechayil meurta, midei delochal meurta loka chashiv. Rav Papa says, look, the list that you're seeing in the Mishnah, that's only things that are beginning at the onset of the day when the sun sets the day before. But Korban HaOmer, Korban Shtei Halechem, are two offerings that are going to be brought when? In the middle of the morning. After the Korban HaTamid Shel Shachar, that's when you're going to bring them. So the Gemara says, wait a second. V'hayir regalim, delo chayla me'urta, v'ka chashiv, agodabach, v'ka chashiv, right? So take out kevin shetzarich, supposed to be deleted, v'ka chashiv, right? In other words, wait a second. When we talk about regalim, you need shalish regalim to be over and bal ta'acher, we actually maintain that you need to have brought the korban. You made the commitment to Erev Pesach. So now Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, okay, you're over and bal ta'acher because 3 holidays went by. But when are you over? The third holiday goes by. So when is that you're over? Are you over immediately when the holiday starts? You couldn't have given the korban when the holiday starts because it's the nighttime. So when are you supposed to give the korban? You're supposed to only give it during the day. The Nadarim and the David are given after the Tamid Shel Shachar. So the Gemara, so the Rav Papa, how could you say the only things on the list are things that begin from the night before? Regalim is on the list that Rabbi gave us. Again, Shitat Rabbi Shimon, that Rabbi Yehuda accepted, a paskin that way. So he holds you have to give the korban Omer, you have to give the korban Shtei Halechem. Then you'll be able to move forward. But that's the same thing with the Baal Ta'acher problem. Has to be during the day, right? So what are you claiming here, right? So, and if you look in Rashi here, it's what is it? 4 lines up in the And in the narrow lines, me'urta, mishakire shayom, right? Midid lo chayil me'urta. Kigon, petet zayin benisim, and lonit chad shoshana, min hachadash, me'erev, ad lamachal, achash karav ha'omer, chem b'shisha b'sivan, same deal. So then, v'hari regalim, that's like, challenger of Papa. De katani matnitin le'inyan, bal te'acher, de kasal kadaitach, zman bal te'acher, lav me'urtahu, shakire shayom chayil, right? That really, bal te'acher, is of the Gemara is of the opinion here. Baal Ta'acher is not going to be at night, right? When the day started, Ella Achitavu Shah Shehiru Yelahavi Nadar Medavot. Vein Zeh, Vein Zot, rather, sorry. Achiyakriv Tanshal Shachar. She'ain Korban Kodem Lo. Okay, so in other words, that's on the list. That's from the daytime. Rashi goes ahead and gives you the next part of the Gemara, which if you just look into the Gemara, hold your finger, Rashi, they're last of the mid-width lines, two words from the end, Umishanina, and it says in Rashi, so look in the Gemara, because that's Umishanina means it teaches the answer, Li'ituye me'ikara michayev. Yeah, Vikai. So it's to include it initially. It's a chiyuv that's already standing. What does that mean? The onset of the holiday is not the beginning of your chiyuv to give the korban. You had the chiyuv to give the korban when you made the pledge. It's been going. The clock has been running the whole time. The onset of the nighttime is now it's late. You still have to give it, but now it's late. You could have given it Erev Yontif. You could have given it 5 days ago. You could have come early. You could have come to the other Yom Tovim, but you didn't. Now it's late. So look back in Rashi now. Again, last word on the middle width lines, right? Li'ituye me'ikara b'chayev. V'kai, lahavi korban nidro mechayev ve'omed misha shenadar. You had that already from the day you made the commitment, was already the chiyuv. V'hayal lahakriva me'erev haragel. Right? You should have given it before the holiday started. V'lo hukbeu regalim lebal te'acher le'ina kravat korban el inyan mechal lebal te'acher me'urta namichayel. The purpose of saying you have the regalim, the 3 regalim, according to Rabbi Shimon, was not to tell you you have to give it on date X, Y, or Z. It's to tell you that once 3 holidays have come and gone, you are over. And you're going to be over already at the onset of the nighttime. That's all. That's all. You're over in Baal Te'ach, in other words, you still have to give it, but that's that. Now go back to the Gemara. The Gemara says, wait a second, I'll give you another example. When is Yovel? When they blow the shofar on the 10th day, of Rosh Hashana, as it's called. On Yom Kippur, that's what it says. On the Yom Kippur, right, of Shnat HaYovel, they blow shofar, right? So that's a daytime. That's a signal. That's a moment. But it's on the list. Oh, it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yishmael b'nosh Rabbi Yochanan Brokahi, the Amam Rosh Hashana Chayil Yovel, right? So conveniently, no, this Mishnah holds like Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan Broka, who says that really Yovel is not from Yom Kippur, but it's actually from Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur is just a signal of it, but it really started already on Aleph Tishrei. Yeah. By the way, if it wouldn't be Aleph Tishrei, then we'd be up a creek with another problem. It's obvious that Rebbe must hold like Rabbi Shmuel ben Broka. How do you know? Because otherwise you'd have a Rosh Hashanah for Shanim and for Shemitah on Rosh Hashanah Aleph Tishrei. But when would the Rosh Hashanah for Yovel be? Yud Tishrei. There'd be another Rosh Hashanah on his list, yeah? But that's not even entertained by the Gemara as a problem. Understand? You understand what I'm saying? Online? Yes, we're good? You understand the logic? The Gemara never got into the soup of, maybe Yovlot is Yom Kippur, and that's never said that. So it must be because it holds its Aleph. The logic is sound. It's not just they pulled it out of thin air. It's based on the pshat of our understanding of the Mishnah. Rav Shisha berei de Rav Idi Amar ki kachashiv midei de lo tali b'maaseh midei tali b'maaseh lo kachashiv. So another answer from Rav Shisha berei de Rav Idi that what's on the list? Things that happen because of time, not things that are related to actions. And the Korban Omer is an action, and the Korban Shtei Halechem is an action. And therefore, that's not considered Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah means that time passes and then it happens. V'hari regalim. What about the festivals? Mida Tal B'Maseh, V'kachasi Baal Te'achem Imela, Baal Te'acher. Sorry, right? So you made a commitment. You started the clock running. So how could it? Yeah. So the Gemara answers no. Memela Chayil. Yeah, Memela Chayil means it's going to happen because it's going to happen. Mishakira Shayom. Once the Yontif starts, the same answer we gave before. The clock is running. When you get 3 Yontifs went by, done. When you hit the after 3 have gone by, you're over already on Baal Ta'acher.
The others were referring to an action, not a time.
Exactly. So now, top of Chet Amud Aleph, V'hara Yovlot. What about Yovel? Again, an action. Rashi, Shu Tali B'tkiya, Gabel Shofar for that one. Again, the answer is Rabbi Shmuel ben Osher Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. What does he hold? We already said it, right? He holds that it was really Aleph Tishrei, and it wasn't connected to the Tkiyah Shofar. Tkiyah Shofar was like a simon. On the 10th day of Rosh Hashana, that's what the Torah calls it. That's the blow shofar, but it really already happened on the onset of the year in Aleph Tishrei. Virav Ashi Amar. Now we're back to Art. Not going to be happy. Rav Ashi Amar. Arba Rosh Hashanim Heim Shehein be'arba Rosh Chodashim. Right? There are 4. Rav Ashi says there are 4 Rosh Hashanim that are all on Rosh Chodesh. So wait a minute. Be'echa b'Shvat ki Beit Shammai.
Yeah.
So you're going to paskin like him? So Hachi Kamar. No, this is what he meant. Shlosha divrei hakol be'echa b'Shvat machloket Beit Shammai Beit Hillel. When he said there are 4, he meant to say 3 everyone agrees to, and one of them is machloket Beit Shammai Beit Hillel, not resolved. Rashi. Rav Ashi Amar. Haid lo chashiv matnitin el arba lefish lomana el roshe shanim haboim beroshe chodashim vein regalim min haminyan. It's not really counted. It's not really a part of it. El kedamrin and regel shabo, right? Because the Gemara itself had to clarify that regalim was really regel shabo. So that's not really one of the Rosh Hashanim. It's listed there, but it's really the holiday within it. And therefore, since Rosh Hashanah of the Omer is in the middle of the month and Shtei Halechem was in 6 days into the month, it wasn't mentioned either. That's Rav Ashi's answer. So he also has a problem, Rav Ashi, yeah? Because he's kind of explaining away what Regalim is doing there. He's explaining it, saying it's not really one of Rosh Hashanah. And that's what Rav Ashi meant. Arba Rosh Hashanim heim, sheheim be'arba Rosh Chodashim. And one of them is left to the machlok. So uparchinan, last of the wide lines in Rashi, the top of Chet Amud Aleph. Uparchinan im kain be'echad b'shvat satam lontana b'reisha kibeit Shammai de'i kibeit Hillel ha'ami b'tedvav bo. So he put Beit Shammai's opinion first. If it was like Beit Hillel, it would have said on the 15th. So no hachi ka'amar. This is what he meant. Tana de matnitin stam b'reisha echad b'shvat b'roshei shanim v'adar parish v'azil b'seifa be'echad b'shvat Rosh Hashanah la'ilan divrei Beit Shammai. L'meimer deha the satan bereisha arba Rosh Hashanim berosh chodashim lav divrei hakolhi ela Beit Shammai kai. Shlosh divrei hakol, which is lav davka. Deha echad be'elul nami pluktahi. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon omrim be'echad b'tishrei ela Beit Hillel kai. Okay, it is what it is, as the expression goes. We're essentially out of time for tonight. I wanted to mention the Aruch HaShulchan, the Aruch LaNer rather. I don't think we're going to get to. There was a toast I was going to see V'harei, but I don't know how to do it in 5 minutes flat. So we'll just toast to Ramatchil V'harei. We're going. But just listen to this. The Aruch LaNer says, why is there a question at all about Korban Omer and Korban Shtei Halechem in the first place? These are days of the heter of Chadash. The heter of Chadash. But you could still use Yashan afterward. Yeah. After Aleph Tishrei, it's a new year. After Aleph Elul Aleph Tishrei, the Maaseh Behema, like you've crossed the deadline. It's too late. You crossed the date line, I should have said. But it's never too late for Yashan. It's just adding something else. Why is it even thinking that should be a Rosh Hashanah? What Rosh Hashanah is it? It's Bimater something new. But Lamaisa, you still can use the old. It's not like in with the new, out with the old. Out with the old, in with the new. So he answers that's exactly why they're not written in our Mishnah. That's exactly why we don't say, be'echad b'Nisan or be'echad b'Sivan, Pasak Isur Chadash b'Medina and Pasak Isur Chadash b'Mikdash, respectively, because our Mishnah is not a time of the ceasing of Isurim. It's only a demarcating line between 2 time zones of how you count years. But it's not the cessation of something. And another example of this, I was thinking about this. Another example is we had learned this previously. What else was one of the contenders? Maybe should be on the list. And we said, no, it's not going to go. Iburin. the leap year. Remember? Why is it? Nisan is the Rosh Hashanah for Iburin. So the Gemara at one point said, so put it on the list. No, because the Iburin means after Adar Bet is after Adar is finished, not Adar Bet, and you have had a leap year. After Adar is over, we don't intercalate Chodesh Nisan. Finished. So that's a hefsek of something. That's not a list. That's not for the Rosh Hashanahs. So just some concepts to think about. It's too complicated to do the toast. I have a call at 9 o'clock, so I it's not going to be able to see it inside. If you want, you can see Tosfos. It's interesting what he explains there. I can't. It's too long. Yeah, it's too long. It's too long. I don't go into it. Leave you hanging. Then you won't sleep the whole night. It'll be a problem. So, but next week, God willing, we'll have a shear. Next week, it will also be on Wednesday night, but it will be before Mincha, which I think next week is like 7:45 or 7:50. So we'll start at like 7 or something, and then so that we will have a nice shear, and then because there's a board meeting after, and again Wednesday nights also have things after tomorrow. So okay, Adkan for tonight. Nice to see everybody.